What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the first video of Cold War Warzone Season 2. The patch just went live last night. We got a couple new guns. We got a brand new game mode, the Zombie Outbreak, which is a ton of fun. But where we have a lot of fun, we have a lot of problems. And Call of Duty had to break it all again. They went ahead and hit and nerfed a ton of attachments and a ton of guns in the game. So to start the video, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know about that. And then later on, we'll be covering the Fara 83, the newest AR in Warzone. It's basically like the FFAR's brother, but just a little bit better. I'm telling you guys, it's a ton of fun to use. But before we get to the content, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you're dropping a like. And if you want to be able to come back and know every time I'm posting a new video, then make sure you're clicking that sub button and you're hitting the bell to turn notifications on. So as we're all used to, every time a patch comes out, we have some hidden nerfs and some hidden buffs and a lot of changes to different guns. Well, this time they went over the top. Here are our current patch notes for today's patch. All it states is, the Fara 83 comes out, the LC10 SMG comes out. Both are great guns. The Fara 83 is a little bit better than the LC so far. I don't have the LC completely leveled up yet. It's a good gun. It's fun to use. I don't think it's going to be better than the MAC 10 or the Bullfrog. I do think it's going to be relevant. The Fara, though, is identical to the FFAR. It might be a little bit better time to kill wise. It is a fun gun to change up. It does have the reactive skin, and once you get to the level 95 on the battle pass, I did buy out the entire battle pass so I could have it. I'm not gonna lie, it is definitely worth using, and I love my Car 98, so I will 100% be replacing my FFAR with this Fara 83. We will cover the Fara 83 at the end of this video if that's what you're looking for. If you don't care about patch notes or you don't care about any attachments or hidden stats or any of that kind of stuff, well, you're crazy. But hey, skip to the end of the video. I'll be covering all that, the builds that I think are good right now, and everything in between. But so far with the Cold War attachments, all they tell us is the bruiser grip got changed. Before it said melee quickness, and of course it had the 20% vertical recoil reduction, and after it's supposed to do movement speed and hip fire accuracy. Well, I actually tested it, and they did go through and they did remove the 20% vertical recoil control from the bruiser grip. So in my opinion at this point, it's basically worthless. Now, if you're looking for some extra movement speed and some hip fire accuracy, it might be worth actually getting rid of like the 5 milliwatt laser and running that instead, because you do have hip fire accuracy and movement speed without an ADS penalty. I haven't tested how good the hip fire accuracy really is compared to the 5 milliwatt laser. It is an idea to play around with, though. Then also the mounted flashlight before enemy reveal distance, now movement speed and aim walking movement speed. Seems like they're really trying to give movement speed. On the foregrips, there's actually more that give movement speed than actually do recoil control. 4 of them are for movement, and only 3 do recoil control. It really doesn't make any sense. Don't know why they're trying to go in that direction, but that is how they're changing it. Tiger Team Spotlight also, before enemy reveal distance, now movement speed and aim walking movement speed. I don't know like what's going on with all that, but those are what they stated was changed. However, they also completely ruined the agency suppressor. The agency suppressor now actually reduces bullet velocity. So if you guys do remember when Cold War first came out, that is what was going on. The agency suppressor did remove or did reduce the bullet velocity of all the guns that it was put onto. And that's one of the things that really hindered Cold War guns. They just weren't good. They didn't have the range. They didn't have a monolithic type suppressor. Well, guess what? After buffing it and making Cold War guns relevant, going into this patch, they reverted it to its previous point. And on top of it, they even got rid of the recoil control. I'll show you guys later on in the video. I do have a few comparisons. I was trying it out earlier in Plunder when I was leveling up my Fara 83, and I showed it on stream as well. I threw on the agency suppressor, and it literally didn't change the vertical recoil at all. So all it does is make it harder for you to hit targets at range. And I mean, yeah, it does give you sound suppression, but to be honest, it's not worth it because it literally is making your guns irrelevant. But they also went through and they changed all the barrels. Now I will give them this. Most stats that guns say now actually do what they're supposed to do, or I guess attachments do what they're supposed to do. Then the cavalry barrel that made the RPD and the stoner so good, that got reduced to 50% from 80. And that might just, they might have buffed the base, they might have changed the barrel a little bit. But regardless, that also saw a nerf. There was also the fact that the task force barrels have also been changed. Now they now do what they're supposed to do. They do give vertical recoil and horizontal recoil, where before they only gave the benefits, and that's why a lot of SMGs were very easy to use without grips. That's why I really haven't ran a grip on any of my SMGs. I haven't ran one on the MAC-10, I haven't ran one on my Bullfrog, didn't run one on my AK-74U. That's probably going to change now. If the task force barrel, the best barrel for the gun, is giving additional recoil, then you're going to have to complement that with a grip, probably the field agent, now that the bruiser doesn't do anything. But these are all changes that came out of nowhere and were left out of patch notes. So a lot of the gun builds that I had before pretty much are all going to be changing going forward. I am going to be trying to get YouTube videos out to cover every single one, but these are things that you guys need to be aware of. If something says that it does reduce damage range or damage effective range, however they want to word it, if it does say that it's going to give you extra recoil or it's going to reduce your bullet velocity, all of these things are actually happening now. You can actually believe the stats that are going on. I don't know exact percentages for everything just yet, but I will be coming out with all of that information for you guys here in a couple days. All right, now that we covered all the little hidden stats and all the little tweaks and changes that they wanted to make behind the scenes in Warzone, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my Fara build. Now, I didn't need to tell you guys about that because I sound like a super hypocrite right now for running this build. I'm a major advocate of always running the agency suppressor, the GRU suppressor, the monolithic suppressor. Literally, it's the best attachment in the game, or it was previously. But now that they changed that, we don't need to run a muzzle anymore. So on my Fara, I run the 16.5 ultralight, the Hawksmoor optic, the KGB pad, the 60 round fast mag, and the field agent grip. Now, I personally have found the ultralight to be the best even with the previous guns when different things were going on with the barrels. I always kind of favored the barrel with the highest bullet velocity because it gets your bullets there faster and it gives you that little bit of extra range, less lead time, and it's just overall my favorite. If you're not going to run the ultralight, the contour is a close second. I did have good success with the contour, but when I was leveling up the gun, I definitely felt like the ultralight was a little bit better. Could be a little bit of a personal preference thing. It kind of comes back to the FFAR when I did that video. I'll go ahead and throw in a card if you guys want to check it out, what I'm talking about when it is on the charts, since I do have that data to back it up. There was about a 10-meter difference as far as range went. So the Ranger barrel on the FFAR, it has higher bullet velocity. And then the reinforced heavy has the effective damage range and bullet velocity. Well, the reinforced heavy from 40 to 50 meters had a better time to kill, but from 50 meters on, the Ranger had the better time to kill with the higher bullet velocity. And so I kind of feel like that might be going on with the ultralight as well. And personally, I was just finding more success with it. But play around with it and see how you guys are feeling about it. I personally like the Hawksmoor optic the most. I wish that I could show you what it looks like to look down the sights of the micro reflex LED, but trust me, it is absolutely atrocious. It's generally my favorite optic on every single gun, but it is just awful on this one. Now, I do run this running gun in pretty up close, but I'm not the biggest fan of the iron sights, so I was putting an optic on it. So the Hawksmoor was the best for me. Maybe run it 2 times for that little bit of extra range. It kind of hurts you though up close, so I don't really recommend it. Now, if you don't mind the iron sights on this gun, then you can absolutely throw in a laser. Obviously, if you can't handle the recoil, you could throw on the flash guard, give you a little bit of extra vertical recoil, aim stability, and you're not going to have any negatives behind it. I really don't think that it's worth it on this gun, but you could go that route. Or if you are going to throw a laser on it, then you probably just go ahead and run up the 5 milliwatt. Now you are going to sacrifice a little bit of ADS speed. So if you didn't want to do that, you could go with the target designator. Now the target designator is going to be really good. It gives you hip fire, no ADS penalty, and it claims that it gives effective damage range. This hasn't been tested. I can't verify that. Everything else has been verified that it does what it's supposed to do. So potentially this could be a great attachment for the gun, but you do need to be aware that the flashlight is visible to enemies. So you are going to be able to be seen, you know, around corners, in dark areas, and it could potentially give you away. Personally, I don't ever want to put myself in a situation where someone's going to know I'm coming around a corner. So I don't think I would run it regardless, but it's at least worth checking out and seeing if maybe it's an attachment that you want to run. After that, I went with the KGB pad. I like the KGB pad because we are running this as a, you know, run and gun behind our sniper, secondary type of a gun. So I like the sprint to fire time on this because I can peel around a corner and be able to start shooting as quickly as possible. The PKM stock is a close second, but you don't really have that. But where you don't get the sprint to fire speed, you get the firing movement speed. The firing movement speed is pretty good though. That comes back to, you know, doing the bunny hopping and jumping around and kind of throwing your opponent off and being able to move a little bit faster while you're doing that is also a really nice perk. But I would definitely only recommend running one or the other. Personal preference, it really just comes down to your play style. Now, when it comes to ammunition, there's just nothing else to run. You need your 60 bullets. And you're going to want to reload faster. It does also reload faster than the normal gun, or by the normal 60 round mag, with enough time to make it justifiable. I don't know the exact time, but I could definitely tell once I unlocked it that the reload time was at least almost a half a second to probably 3/4 of a second more faster. And that to me is hands down worth it. And now with the change to the underbarrels, the field agent is really the only way to go. And to be honest, I'll show you guys here in a second how the recoil goes on this gun. And trust me, you're 100% gonna run the field agent grip. The recoil pattern on this gun, the Fara, is probably the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It literally does like a complete S shape. I don't know what the game devs were thinking when they came up with it, but trust me, you're gonna want your horizontal and you're gonna want your vertical recoil control. You know, the Bruiser obviously doesn't give you any recoil control now, so it's kind of irrelevant. The foregrip only does horizontal, and it does have a decent amount of vertical, so I think you're going to want both. And then you have the speed grip that only does horizontal, and it gives you sprinting move speed. So maybe if you want to sprint a little faster, I guess. But overall, the field agent grip is hands down definitely going to be what you're going to want to run. But, you know, it is kind of a personal preference thing. And especially if you don't want the sight, if you're on the field agent and then you get rid of the optic and then you go ahead and you go the flash guard, you're actually probably going to have a pretty steady aim, and maybe you'll be better off at range. But that's up to you. But as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you're dropping a like. If there's something that you want to see me cover, let me know in the comments below. But above all else, make sure you're hitting that sub button and you're clicking that bell to turn notifications on so you can know every time I'm posting a video.